Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started. Thank you for joining us for this information session on the Advanced Certificate in Immigration Law program. Today, we're going to talk about the certificate program, a bit about the curriculum, career opportunities in immigration law, and the application process. And we will also have time at the end for some questions, so please feel free to use the chat box if you do have questions. So welcome, my name is Dawn Pitkin. I'm a program director here at CUNY SPS in the Office of Professional Education and Workplace Learning. And I'm joined today by Shavit Yarden, who is a practicing immigration law attorney. He's the academic program director for the program, and he teaches in the program as well. And we'll be hearing from Shavit a little bit later in the presentation. So first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our school for those of you who may not be familiar with CUNY or the CUNY School of Professional Studies. For those of you who are not in the New York City area, CUNY is the City University of New York. We are the public university system of New York City and the largest urban university in the country. The CUNY School of Professional Studies was founded in 2003, and it's one of 24 schools in the CUNY system, which includes senior colleges, community colleges, and professional schools. CUNY SPS offers 12 undergraduate degree programs designed for people who have some college credit but never completed their degree. Some of our bachelor's degrees are, for example, in information systems, disability studies, and health information management. We also have 13 master's degree programs in fields such as business management and leadership, youth studies, and data analytics. We also have 19 certificate programs offered at both the undergraduate and graduate level. The Immigration Law Certificate Program is a graduate level program, which means you must have at least a bachelor's degree to apply, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Most of our programs are offered online, and CUNY SPS was ranked 16th in the nation in US News and World Report's list of 2018 best online bachelor's degree programs, which is something we're very, very proud of. Currently, we have over 3,200 students enrolled in our programs. Most of our students are working adults, and our programs are geared towards teaching adult students. So let's talk more specifically about the Immigration Law Certificate Program. This program began in 2005, so we've been doing this for quite some time. All classes are offered in both traditional classroom formats or online. I'll talk about this in just a minute. You don't need prior immigration law experience to take this program, though, as I mentioned, you do need to have a bachelor's degree. And as I also previously mentioned, this program is geared towards working adult professionals. Our faculty are practitioners in the field who are practicing immigration law judges and attorneys with many years of experience, so they bring their real-world experience into the classroom. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shavit, who's going to talk a little bit more about the curriculum.
Hello. The program revolves around some mandatory courses, which primarily is the introductory course, which is intended to bring everybody up to speed and kind of like put everybody on the same starting line with regard to the material. We require every student, with very rare exceptions, to take this course. And beyond that, in order to receive the certificate, the student must complete 2 of the other 4 courses offered in the program, which cover some of the major fields of immigration law, meaning business immigration, family immigration, things that happen in immigration court, the proceeding in immigration court, and of course in naturalization and citizenship. What will students learn in the program? The program is not intended for lawyers. It's intended for anyone who is interested in the field, although many lawyers who don't have a background in immigration can definitely benefit from it. But the program is intended to cover the principle of immigration law in the United States. It intends to familiarize everybody with the terminology and the language that we are using in these fields in order to describe the processes. Everybody sees it in the paper, but it's not always accurate. Um, we learn how to locate and access the resources that everyone in the field is using, attorneys and not attorneys. These are generally available resources online and in libraries. Nowadays, almost everything is available online. And then we'll see major tools used in immigration in order to seek benefits and in order to run proceedings in immigration court. We want to recognize also in this context, since we're not a law school, we're not teaching people to practice immigration law, we devote a section in the program to understanding the boundaries of the practice of law, what is authorized and what is not authorized for everybody in the field to do. So there are no misunderstanding, because at the end of the day, no one wants to do any harm in learning. Now, that brings us to the question: how will the certificate help students who graduate? I think first and foremost, it will expand the knowledge that many people have in immigration. It will help people who work with immigrants to understand what concerns them, what are the pressures that are under them. It will help everybody understand better the debate. Immigration is a very hotly contested area. Everybody talks about it, but again, not everybody know what they're saying. And you want to be, or I would want to be in a position where I can understand what was going on in reality beyond all the words. It recognized as a certificate, it shows that a person completed a course which is oriented to a particular set of expertise or skills, which is a good signal to employer for people who intend to go into the field in any capacity, whether in nonprofit agencies, in city agencies, and other places where there is interaction with immigrants, which in New York City is pretty much everywhere, but this country, as always, has and still is a country of immigrants. I think on a more personal level, as someone who's practicing in the field, it's always better to have a discussion or debate with people who are knowledgeable. You want to be able to participate in informed discussion in order to be able to really make a difference. And immigration, at the end of the day, is what we're doing today in immigration will determine what the face of the nation is going to be in the future. And that's where the debate is. Now I'm going to turn it back to Dawn to talk more about the course format, scheduling, and the application process.
Great, thank you, Shavit. So let's talk about the course format. Every class in the program is available in both traditional classroom format or online. You don't have to stick with one format throughout your time in the program. So for example, you could take the Introduction to Immigration Law course in the classroom in your first semester, and then, for example, take Family-Based Immigration online in your second semester. I'm going to talk more about how we schedule classes on the next slide. Typically, classroom courses meet one evening a week, Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Our classes are held at our campus here on 31st Street in Manhattan, right near Penn Station, so we're very accessible to a lot of subways. The online classes are held in a learning management system called Blackboard. They are asynchronous, which means that you would log into the course site at times that are convenient for you each week, and there's no set time that you have to log in. Excuse me. The online courses do have a live professor teaching the course. He or she interacts with students through a discussion board. He or she would grade your work and be available for questions, just like in a traditional classroom. In an online class, students typically tend to log in 3 or 4 times a week for an average of 30 minutes. So the meeting time is essentially about the same as in a classroom course, but spread out over the week. And then outside the classroom, in either format, you can expect to put in anywhere from 5 to 10 hours doing activities such as reading, studying, meeting with fellow classmates in study groups, etc. So the scheduling for this program is as such. The Introduction to Immigration Law course, which is required, is offered every semester. That is every spring and every fall. And that's in both formats. That way students can start the program at any time, no matter if you are local or outside the New York City area. The elective courses are offered on a rotating basis. We offer usually 2 elective courses in addition to the intro course every semester. We will always have at least 1 classroom-based elective and 1 online elective available so that students can persist each semester regardless of if they're in New York City and able to come to campus or not. Though your first choice may not always be available in the format you prefer, we try to rotate everything equally to be fair to all students. And keep in mind that we'll always schedule classes so that you can complete your certificate in 3 consecutive semesters, regardless of which format that you prefer. So who should take this program? Really, anyone who wants to gain more knowledge about immigration law. This program will be helpful if you're looking to pursue a career working with immigrants. It can be useful for people who already work with the immigrant population in some capacity and want to expand their knowledge in the field. As Shavit mentioned as well, our students and our alumni work with immigrant populations in law firms, schools, universities, in government, nonprofit organizations. So really, as Shavit said, especially if in New York City, many people in many fields have to work with immigrant populations. I do want to stress that this program provides you with an academic credential. It does not qualify anyone who doesn't hold an attorney's license to practice law. And as Shavit alluded to as well, we do have a module in the program on unauthorized practice of law, which outlines what you can and cannot do both as an attorney and as a non-attorney with respect to working with immigrants. We also, in the past, held a webinar on UPL. If you would like to see that presentation, you can email us. Our contact information will be available at the end of this presentation, and we'd be happy to send you a link to that presentation. So let's talk about the admissions requirements. As I mentioned, to apply to the program, you do have to have at least a bachelor's degree with a 3.0 GPA. So to apply, you would complete the application, which is online, submit it with application fee, which is $125, and then you have to have your official transcripts from all schools that you've attended to us. This includes any graduate programs, law school, or any schools that you took classes at for credit, even if you did not complete a degree there. For those of you who may have foreign transcripts, we would need those as well. So if you do have a foreign transcript, you would have to submit the official transcript directly from the institution that you attended, but you must also have that transcript officially evaluated, and if it's not in English, you need to have it officially translated by an organization approved by NACES. That's the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. There's a list of approved organizations on their website, which you can see here. It's www.naces.org/members. So let's now talk about the program cost. These are the current tuition and fee rates, which are set by the CUNY Board of Trustees. These rates are for the current academic year, which is 2017-2018. I'm going to go over this, but I do want to say that it's possible that tuition could increase for the fall, and we should know about that later this summer. So there's 2 rates. There's a New York State resident and online student rate, and then out-of-state resident rate for out-of-state students taking classes in person. So if you're a New York State resident or taking classes online, and that's regardless of what state you live in, the current graduation tuition is $440 per credit. So that comes to $1,320 for one 3-credit course. There's also per semester fees, which total $102.50. So for New York State residents and online students, the total for one course would be $1,422. If you're an out-of-state resident and want to take classes on campus in a traditional classroom format, the graduate tuition is $805 per credit. That comes to $24.15 for one course, and then adding in the per semester fees of $102.50, the cost for one course for out-of-state residents taking classes in person on campus would be $25.17. And just as a reminder, there is a one-time application fee of $125 to apply to the program. We do have a tuition payment plan available. Once you're accepted and registered into classes, this would allow you to make your payments for the semester in installments. And basically, the earlier you register, the more payments in lower amounts you could make. So on this slide, you will see the web address that will take you to our program page on the CUNY SPS website. This is actually a screenshot of that page. It shows you where the Apply Now button is. The deadline to submit your application is July 26th. So you have a bit of time. I do encourage people, if they are going to apply, that they kind of get that in, because it does take some time for transcripts to get in particular if you have foreign transcripts. You can apply, if you apply by that date, we can accept your transcripts after that date a little bit, but not too much after. But just if you are trying to get in for fall 2018, please do make sure you submit your application by this date of July 26th. So now I'm going to go over some frequently asked questions, and we'll also try to answer a couple of the questions that have come in through the chat as well. We can take a couple of those. So the first is how long it would take to earn the certificate. Typically, it takes most students 3 semesters, taking 1 course per semester. It is possible to finish in 2 semesters if you take the Introduction to Immigration Law course in your first semester and 2 electives in your second semester. You could finish in just 1 year. Keep in mind, though, that what I mentioned earlier about scheduling, if you do take 2 classes at the same time, you would likely have to take 1 course online and 1 course in the classroom. So another question that we get a lot is if you have to be an attorney to take this program. As we mentioned earlier, no, you don't have to be an attorney, and you don't even have to have any prior experience with immigration law to enter this program. Some folks want to know if the program makes you BIA accredited. The short answer is no. However, the program could be counted towards the training requirement to become an accredited representative. There's actually a lot more on that process in our previous webinar on unauthorized practice of law that I mentioned. So again, if you would like a copy of that, you can let us know and we will send you a link to that presentation. If your GPA is below a 3.0, then you can submit, along with your application, a personal statement that includes specific information about why you would like to take the program and information about your previous academic experience, or really anything else that will help us get a fuller picture of your academic ability. And we will evaluate that personal statement along with your application. And then finally, is financial aid available? So traditional financial aid is not available, since this is a part-time program and you have to be a full-time student to take part in traditional financial aid. But as I mentioned earlier, we do have a tuition payment plan option that is available once you are a registered student. So with that, I'm going to just take a quick look at some of the questions that have come in and see if I can answer some general questions. If you have specific questions, we will answer those offline. We will provide you with a response personally to your personal question. So one question that came in is if we offer courses in the summer. We do not. We just offer courses in the fall and spring semesters. Another question is, can you take more than the 3 required courses? That's a great question. Yes. You have to take the 3 courses to earn the certificate, but many students take all 5 courses, and you certainly could do that. Another question that came in is, what would be the title of the certificate? It's an advanced certificate in immigration law, and it is issued by the CUNY School of Professional Studies. And then finally, I see a question about whether this slideshow will be presented to folks. Yes, we can send out a link to it and can send out the slides as well. Another question has just come in about if you have to have a bachelor's. Yes, you do have to have a bachelor's degree. This is a graduate level program, so you do have to have a bachelor's degree. Can we take the complete course online is another question that has just come in. Yes, all classes are available both online and in person, and you can complete them in a mix or in either format. But it is available to take all the classes online. One question that has come in is, can you take just one class and not pursue the full certificate? You can, with the caveat that you still have to apply to the program. So whether or not you plan on finishing the entire certificate, you would still need to go through the application process that I mentioned. Is it possible to finish in one semester is another question that's come in. No, because you have to take the Introduction to Immigration Law course first. It's a prerequisite. So you would take that in your first semester. And then, as I mentioned before, if you're able to take classes both online and in person, you would be able to finish in 2 semesters. How long does the personal statement need to be? As long as it addresses the points that I mentioned, it doesn't have to be super long. I'd say about a page is probably the max. And then if we do ask you to submit a personal statement, we will reiterate what it is we're looking for in that statement. Another question is, if you can bypass the Intro to Immigration Law course if you have immigration law experience. That is not typical, but if you do have experience, you would let us at the program level here know when you apply, and you would actually have a phone interview with Shavit, who spoke earlier in the presentation, and he would, as the academic program director, would make that determination to see if you could exempt out of immigration law. It is not common, but it has happened. And so if you feel like you've been working in the field and have enough experience to bypass that intro course, then you should let us know. The total fee for the entire program, I would have to do on a calculator. So it's about $4,000. I don't have the exact total in my head, but we can send you out that total. But again, keeping in mind that tuition rates may be a little bit more than what they are right now. I'm going to just wait one more second to see if a couple more questions come in. So another question that came in is regarding a foreign bachelor's degree, and if an LLM should be submitted or both certificates. Anything that is credit bearing should be submitted. So if you've taken classes in any credit-bearing school, please submit all your transcripts. The semester for fall begins at the end of August. I believe it's August 25th. And the spring semester begins at the end of January. There's another question about classes. If the in-person classes are offered more than once a week, it's 1 day a week. So it's either going to be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday, and they typically meet from 6 to 8:30 p.m. There's one last question about where the campus location is. We are located on 31st Street between 6th and 7th Avenues in Manhattan, right near Penn Station. There is one other question about how long it takes to evaluate a foreign degree. So NACES doesn't do the evaluation. They're an association. They list, so if you go to that NACES website that was in the presentation, they list a number of different companies that do the evaluations. So you would have to contact one of those companies, and it really varies. It varies on what country, and it varies on, I think, each institution themselves. But I would say you should give yourselves, up to a month to get them. So that's why I do recommend that if you do have to get a foreign transcript evaluated and translated, that you try to work on that sooner rather than later. And the other thing I wanted to mention about the evaluation piece for foreign transcripts is that you not only need to get it evaluated, but it does need to have a GPA. So sometimes that is a separate request that you have to make, and we need the GPA as well, so a GPA equivalent of what your degree is. So there's another question that I'm actually going to shoot over to Shavit about how this course, and I imagine it's the Introduction to Immigration Law course, differs from paralegal courses offered by other schools.
Well, it's a bit hard to say because each school has different classes, but our goal in the introductory course is really to present the field in general and address the general basics of terminology, of history of immigration law in this country, and several other issues that will serve students in the following courses in the certificate, and hopefully in the field if they engage in any immigrant-related activities such as advocacy or any other work with immigrant communities.
Thank you, Shavit. Another question has come in: if you can take the intro class online at the same time as ILAW 602, which is the business course. The short answer is no. The Intro to Immigration Law course is a prerequisite. So you have to take that course before you can take any of the other advanced courses in the program. So I think that has answered all of the general questions that have come in. Again, if you do have other questions, you can feel free to reach out to me or to the program coordinator for this program, Brandon Kelly. Both of our email addresses and phone numbers are here, and we'd be happy to answer your question, especially if you have a specific question related to you personally. About your transcripts or other things, we'd be happy to answer them. So I want to thank everyone for attending, and have a great rest of your afternoon.